Yugioh Tournament. So, I was going through some of my old stuff when I happened upon my old Yu-Gi-Oh card binder. I cracked it open, and all the nostalgia came running back to me, pestering the crap out of my mom and dad to buy me new packs in exchange for house chores, doing yard work for my neighbors, just so I could go out and buy new booster boxes, etc. But as I was flipping through the pages, one card in particular caught my eye. My first edition Machine King. This card holds a darker story, and thus, our story begins. When I was about 8 years old, I found out about Yu-Gi-Oh through a friend of mine. I was immediately enamored with the show, the card game, anything related to it. I got my first two decks not long after that. A Seto Kaiba starter deck and a Yugi starter deck. Of course, excited, I took these to school to show off to my friends. Most of them had no idea of what Yu-Gi-Oh was. They hadn't even heard it before. One of my friends who did know of the game told me that there was a Yu-Gi-Oh tournament being held at our local Walmart. I was flipping out at the thought of it. I found out it was being held on Saturdays, out in their lawn and garden section. So, the very next Saturday, I begged my dad to take me there. He had to do some grocery shopping anyways, so he didn't really see the harm in it. He took me back to the lawn and garden section and made sure to tell me, "Look, I'll be done in about an hour. If anyone tries to grab you, hurt you, or anything like that, scream for the nearest employee." Now, I wasn't a dumb kid by any means, but keep this in mind for the remainder of the story. So, I looked for anyone around my age to duel with. There were some teenagers, some adults supervising, and any kid that was my age was already dueling with somebody that was their age. I was actually pretty bummed out, and almost left because of this. Before I had a chance to turn around and leave, I heard a voice. "Hey, you looking for someone to duel?" I turn around to see an older man, maybe mid to late 30s, short, almost buzz-cut brown hair, very skinny, extremely pale, dark sunken eyes, 5 o'clock shadow, and was wearing a brown leather jacket. The jacket threw me off, and is something that I still don't understand to this day, because it was late springtime, and it was pretty hot and humid outside. Definitely not leather jacket weather. Sure, I guess. I felt a bit safe knowing there were employees nearby. Big mistake. He let me go first. As we dueled, I glanced up to see him, and when I ended my turn to meet his unblinking gaze, he'd put his cards down without breaking eye contact with me. Eventually, our duel came to an end. I lost, and extended my hand to shake his hand for a duel well done. A good game, right? But instead of shaking my hand, he gave me a Machine King, which is a card I had never seen before. "That's for you. Thanks for the duel." And after that, he left. I was confused, but at the same time, I was content because I just got a free card, and at the time, Machine King was a pretty powerful card. After a couple more duels around the area, my dad showed up, and I had to leave. The following Saturday, I went back, and he was there again. Of course, we dueled. This time, I won. But yet again, I extended my hand, and he gives me another Machine King. It almost became a ritual. Sir, you already gave me one of these. Anyways, I don't want your cards. I just like a handshake." "Oh, well, I mean, if you want a different card, I have more at my house. I don't live too far from here. You can pick any card you want." Well, I don't know. My dad told me not to go anywhere with strangers." "Well, what's your name?" I was hesitant for a moment, but I thought there couldn't possibly any harm by telling him my name. It's Ricky." "Well, my name is Tom. See, I'm not a stranger anymore.
Well, I suppose not. Exactly. So shall we go? He ushered me towards the exit. I don't know why, but I stupidly went with him. Before we made it to the exit of the door, I was stopped in my tracks by the booming voice of my dad. Ricky, where do you think you're going?
I look back and see my dad running towards me. Tom, as soon as he saw my dad, took off in the opposite direction, running out of the store. My dad snatched me up in his arms and immediately ran to the nearest employee to have them alert management. His image was caught on security camera, and they were constantly on the lookout for him. Because of this incident, there was always 2 police officers present at these Yu-Gi-Oh tournaments. I'm not sure if they ever even caught the guy or whatever happened to him, but my dad and I both sit and shudder at the thought of what could have happened. So, creepy child predator, let's never meet again. Just trying to play a game of Magic. I was out at a gaming shop with my 2 friends and my boyfriend. They were sitting, playing some Magic the Gathering. I had just finished altering my deck, so I wasn't playing with them. A short man came up to me and asked for a game, and I said, why not? So we started to play, and he starts asking me some questions like, what's your name? How old are you? Which is super normal until he says, oh, you're 17? Nice! I'm 32. Now this whole time, he was twitching and blowing his nose constantly, and his eyes were completely bloodshot, so I was under the impression that he was on drugs. He kept on telling me how pretty I am, and my friends were just looking at us, not really knowing what to do. After a little while, my boyfriend sits next to me, and I introduce him, and he thinks it's okay to go ahead and say, oh, that's your boyfriend? Man, I bet he's just gonna take you home and maul you like a ravaging bear. None of us knew what to say, so I just told him I needed to get home, and we all left. I haven't been back to that shop because it was just so not okay. McDonald's baseball card creeper. This happened in the early 90s, when I was about 8 or 9 years old. I lived in a neighborhood within walking distance of a McDonald's, so my 2 friends and I would go there frequently to play in the play place. There was a man that we would see almost every time we went there. He was an older man, probably early to mid-50s. He always carried around a blue fanny pack. He kept new baseball cards in the fanny pack and would try to sell them to us and the other kids. One day, we went there to play and get some ice cream cones like we always did. Of course, the guy was there again, like he always was. On this particular day, we were the only 3 kids there. We went to an elementary school that had a track system, which just means that different classes would be off from school for 5 weeks throughout the year instead of getting a summer break. We had told our parents about the man, and they had told us to steer clear of him. We played around, but always stayed wary of where the man was. The play place in this particular McDonald's had an outdoor play area that was poorly visible from any of the employees. This is why it was so easy for him to creep on children. Anyways, we were playing around like usual when the man approached us, asking if we wanted to buy any baseball cards. We all said no, claiming that we didn't have any money. He told us that because we were special little ones, he would give us the cards for free. We still said no, but he was relentless. Red flags started going off in my head as soon as he crossed the little half wall separating the play area from the sidewalk. I'll never forget the look he had on his face. It was a look of intent. He came closer to us until he was within arm's reach. He asked us if we wanted to see any of the baseball cards, saying he had special cards that no one had seen before. We started to get really scared, so we turned to leave the play area. He grabbed my friend's hand and tried to yank him towards him. My friend managed to break free, and we bolted back to our neighborhood. We immediately told our parents, and we were no longer allowed to visit that McDonald's anymore. A few months later, the guy was busted for kidnapping and molesting a little girl.